Relax.
Okay, relax.
Hi, Mark.
Hello, Joanna.
How are you doing today?
All the time the same question, you get the same answer,
Yes, I expect.
which is absolutely delighted to be with you today.
Perfect. I'm so glad to hear that. Thank you. Oh, please listen to this very technical conversation, which is about how to choose the right speaker cable. So one of your favorite topics, I
No,
believe.
absolutely not.
You're not, but it's so hot topic on the forums for audiophiles. You will find a lot of questions, a lot of discussions regarding the speaker cables. Sometimes they are called interconnect cables. So, do you feel this is an important topic, important part of the system to talk and to take care of?
All parts are important. You can't neglect anything. But the problem is that the problem sometimes is overinflated. And when I said that it's not my favorite topic, is because there is so much nonsense going around it that it makes me really wonder why the human race is still around.
So I believe it can be quite difficult for many audiophiles. Many people they don't have specific technical knowledge, and they wonder about. They don't understand the problem.
The problem it compounds from different. Yes, first is the dissatisfaction you have from your system, which is a constant with the vast majority of audiophiles. Second is the lack of technical knowledge. Third, there is the dishonesty of many sellers that are selling snake oil left and right. Fourth, there is the so-called gurus on forums that they pretend to know something, but they're just spreading misinformation. And if you mix all together, it's just a big confusion. That audiophiles are disoriented.
So you said yes, the topic needs some attention. So the proper attention, just not to overdo.
Absolutely not. Like everything, you need to have the right measure. There's sometimes, if it's too little, it's too little. If it's right, it's right. Sometimes, if it's too much, deprive you of quality because you have side effects you don't expect or you are not aware of.
Okay, so speaker cable. So what should we be focused on?
Materials.
Materials.
Good materials, OFC, oxygen-free copper is widely available today. It's not expensive. Good insulation, nothing fancy, and the right size.
So size.
That's it.
Yes, talking about the length, maybe the proper width. So there are two aspects on it.
Yes, length is length. It depends where your speaker are, and you need don't use a cable that is much longer than necessary. And the size, the gauge of a cable is important because if it's too small, it can't carry the tower. Without overheating. Overheating means more resistance and more overheating and more resistance. So absolutely not too small.
So not too thin because it's unable to carry the power without overheating. We don't want at all. But the general belief in the audiophile community is that the bigger the speaker cable is, the better for my system.
No. Well, yes, there are some technical caveats that we have to look at. First, resistance. The cable show two electronic features. One is resistance, and a thin and longer cable give more resistance than a shorter and thicker cable. And under this point of view, yes, if you have a thicker cable, you have less resistance and you have less loss of power. But bear in mind that this difference of resistance, the loss in power, is so minimal that it is barely audible. And then we have another aspect, which is capacitance. A cable, since two conductors running together, most of the time parallel one to another, with an insulation between, act as a capacitor.
And can you tell us more about capacitors? How does it work, and what effect does it produce?
Well, the capacitor is an electronic passive device that has a feature that load itself with energy and release energy. Load, release at a certain frequency, depends the capacity of a capacitor, depend the frequency which this capacitor is loaded, etc. So you have this cable that is acting like a device that gets a charger with energy and discharge energy. Now we have two aspects that we have to take into consideration. One, the resistance, which we spoke before, and the capacitor. A cable shows the electronic schematic we see now on the video. This is called a pass-low filter. This kind of electronic device, very simple, allows to pass only the frequency below a certain point, blocking the frequencies above this point. Now, it's easy to measure your cable. You can check your resistance with the multimeters. Here, how to do it in this little we show now. And you can check your capacitance with a capacitance meter or the very good multimeters. So you can easily calculate with a calculator, which we put in the description now below, which is your frequency, the frequency response of your cable, which generally speaking should be well above 20 kilohertz. If your cable has too large capacitance or too high resistance, it can cut down the top part of your audible frequency. And this is the easy part to calculate and to cope with. Now we have to take into consideration only the capacitance of the cable. Bigger the cable, longer the cable, bigger the capacitance. Now you have a capacitor that is connected between your amplifier and your speakers. And there is an effect which is sometimes overlooked or minimized by many, which in my opinion should not be underestimated. Some people say, oh yes, there are capacitors inside your speaker, so have a capacitor more doesn't change much for the speaker, for the amplifier. This is not true.
And why is not true? So
yes, if you have a well-designed speaker, the designer tried to do in such a way that the speaker shows a load that is more resistive as possible, which is the ideal load for an amplifier. An amplifier should see as far as possible a load that is a resistance. And if they put a capacitor in, they try to compensate this capacitor or shunting with a resistor or putting in parallel, in series, an inductor. An inductor, one work in current, another work in tension, and they compensate each other, and the amplifier see a resistive load. So it is not true that just because there are capacitors inside your speakers, there is a capacitive load for your amplifier. It's so only for badly designed speakers. Now, we said that your amplifier wants to have a resistive load for a good reason. Amplifier don't want to have a capacitance load.
And why so? Why we should keep this capacitance on the lower possible level?
Yes, like I said, is a device that gets loaded with energy and discharge energy. This energy come back to the amplifiers, mostly through the feedback circuitry. And your amplifiers, depending how it's designed, can start to oscillate, ascertain very high frequencies.
So what this oscillation means?
This oscillation means that your amplifier, instead of amplifying your sound, is busy amplifying and 1 megahertz, 500 kilohertz oscillation on the line. Apart the loss of power, this generates what is called ringing.
Can we hear that ringing?
Yes, yes. The ringing can be heard because most of the time it overemphasizes the high frequency of the sound, making the sound particularly bright.
I see.
You can see that customers that buy this absurdly big speakers cable come back home and they are very pleased with it because the sound is brighter. They are very pleased for two reasons. First, because they spent an arm and a leg for a big cable, and there is already the expectation that the sound is better because you spent, it's ecology. You spend a lot of money, must be better, otherwise you feel like you're stupid, yes? And you connect it, and indeed the sound is brighter, but not because it should be brighter.
But you see, being an audiophile is always looking for the better quality, for the improvement. So you want this change, but the change in better.
Yes, but you know, is all. Are you able to understand that what you listen is an improvement or not? The vast majority of audiophiles, they have not a benchmark. And the benchmark is the sound of the real music, of the real instruments. They don't know how the real music should sound. They have not a system that is calibrated in the room, is not equalized to the room. There is no any kind of action like this that makes your system really sound real. And anything you attach to it, even that distortion, is accepted like an improvement of sound because it changed something. But you don't understand that this change you're listening in can be even pleasant to hear to, is distortion. And most of the time with these large, big, absurd speaker cables, you are listening to ringing because you are putting a big capacitors at the end of your amplifier. It starts to oscillate like mad, and you are disrupting all the system.
So what about the other types of improvement, like oil dampening, wooden resonators, cryogenic treatments, and many, many more you can find?
Years ago, I heard of someone selling cables, specially treated in former Soviet nuclear plant. Yes, this is not is snake oil, you know. Yes, people make believe that a cable vibrates. Yes, they do vibrate if you put in a cable 2 gigawatts. If you stand under a high voltage pillar with 20,000 volts on it and supplying power to 500 homes, yes, under certain conditions it can vibrate, but not 100 to 100 watts inside your system. Absolutely does not vibrate. All this is snake oil. When you go and buy these cables for your hard-earned money, and when you actually for the shop, or when you click you buy online, you pay for your basket, for your $2,000 cable, they laugh at you. Really? because yes, you go home, you have this cable, you connect it, you are convinced that it's better, and you hear it better, but this is not true. They bring you nothing apart draining your bank account.
So, what is, in your opinion, the honest price for a good cable?
It depends, you know, as a Korean you spend 100 quid on a cable, you spend quite a lot of money. £200, £200 for a good quality UFC, a nice insulation, good looking. Yes, you can spend this money. Maybe a little bit too much. You know, mine are much cheaper than that. I been them myself.
I see. Can anyone buy a cable, interconnect cable
No,
from you?
we don't do speakers cable.
But if anyone has any question or any comment, so can write to you.
Oh, yes, if a sensible question, yes, gladly I answer. But if you want to write, I have this fantastic magic cable which I paid five grand, and then you're stupid and you don't know what you're talking about because you didn't listen to this cable. Yes, you can write it, but don't expect an answer from me.
So yes, please, if you have any comments, any opinions, please, you can put them in the comment section. Thank you for a great conversation.
Oh,
Thank you for watching us.
Thank you for you that you arrive at the end of it.
Thanks, and take care.
Stay calm and listen, enjoy the music.
See you the next time.